Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center with Swiss Army Shawn, myself, and tonight's guest, Aaron West, trainer Aaron West. How are you tonight, Aaron?
Good yourself.
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. So you got into horse racing. You're one of the folks whose fathers and uncles and stuff got you into horse racing. Is that right?
Yep.
Tell us how did they get you into horse racing? Did they get you
They
there
tra-
because of the gambling or because of the horses?
no, they trained a few horses back when I was younger, and I just picked it up from middle school, high school, and enjoyed going to the races and stuff. And I told myself this is what I wanted to do.
Hmm. So you started working, I guess, with trainers Craig and no Joe and Patty Craig. Is that right?
Joe and Peggy
Craig.
Kane, yeah.
Kane. Yeah, excuse me. And then it came full circle because he ended up buying their farm. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that facility.
It's accredited training center in Kentucky. It's got 50 stalls, got a half-mile track, inside Eurosizer, starting gate, 6 paddocks. We live at the facility as well.
So is that something like you had like circled on your things to-do list, or it just kind of worked out that way?
It just worked out. Joe got sick with Lou Gehrig's disease, and he kind of worked me into it. If it wasn't for him, I'd never been there.
I see, for sure. And you're still operating it today. How many horses do you have on the farm now?
We're full down there.
What's that?
50.
50 horses?
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a few.
We break a lot of babies.
So as far as your racing is concerned as a trainer / owner type, I see you win probably, what is it, about over 20% since like 2015?
Yeah.
But you only run maybe a couple, maybe 150, 200 horses a year. Any plans to pick that number up considering your win rate?
No.
No,
I'm happy where we're at.
Yeah, well, I can imagine it's probably a lot of work as it is.
My
right?
kids are young, and I want to stay at home as much as possible.
That's certainly understandable. Other than that, Shawn, how
Is
are you
that
tonight?
good? Is that the key to success? Pick your spots, that kind of thing.
I believe so. Yeah, have the owners that let you pick your spots.
Yeah. Do you have your favorite jockeys you like to use too?
Yeah, we got we use a bunch of them, but there's a select few we try to stick with. Manuel Esquivel's one of them. Sammy Bermudez, Rodney Prescott, Sean Parker. We've heard a lot to Sean.
You didn't bring up Jarrett Loveberry, but you know
I
how to
haven't
do
rode Jarrett in many years. Good guy though.
Yeah. There any bigger plans that you're happy where you're at, but is there any bigger plans in the near future?
Not in the future. We're just, like I said, keep it simple.
Any other tracks you want to explore?
Not really. I mean, right here, we have the opportunity to go south in the winter, and I'm not going. Like I said, we got this beautiful farm, and we break 40 to 52-year-olds a year, so that's my winter job.
Do you think since all these trainers are under more scrutiny now, do you like it because it evens the playing field between you and other, or is it a lot tougher for you just to make sure that everything's okay?
A lot tougher. I think the horses speak for themselves. Even up the Plains field, it's you can only do so much to these things. A good horse is dangerous in anybody's hands.
Is there any specialty you like with a horse, like a specific distance or surface that you think?
I like route horses. I love to train route horses.
Is that what you look to claim then too?
Yeah. We don't play the claiming game too much, but we do here and there.
Awesome.
It's hard being based away from the track playing the claiming game.
So how important is it? Because Jamie Martinez says that the key to success is waking up to Ashley West every day.
Absolutely. I always say behind every successful man, there's a good woman.
Well, you got a big smile there, so you can tell that's authentic. But how important was it to have to have someone be your wife who understands horse racing?
Oh, it's big. Her dad trained back at Beulah Park. She's been in her whole game. I'm gone 3 to 4 nights a week, and it's very important. Very demanding business.
I can imagine it. If they weren't familiar with the demands of horse racing, it might make for a little bit of friction. So that's why I asked how important that would be in terms of that. So if somebody wanted to do what you wanted to do, a younger person who's thinking about maybe becoming a trainer or an owner or having a farm, or, we get a ton of questions too from folks who say, I want to break into the business. And imagine help is good, help is hard to find. If somebody wanted to get in contact with you, or you had some advice on how to take that route, what would you tell them?
Start at the bottom.
And if they wanted to start at the bottom with you, how would they do that?
Just start hot walking horses, and just slowly pick it up. I worked the gate for 7 years, worked the jock's room. I've done a lot of the jobs. There's never a job too small, and you've got to learn it all.
Mm-hmm. What was the hardest one of those jobs that you had to do?
Starting gate. I worked the Derby the year Animal Kingdom win, worked the Breeders' Cup the year Zenyatta got beat. I mean, that starting gate's a very unappreciated job.
Yeah, it's just really tight in there, right?
Yeah.
So how important is it, and this is because we've had this conversation with jockeys before, in terms of how important is the communication with the jockey when you're in there?
It's not so much a jockey, it is the trainer. The starter has books to, the trainer and the starter are on the same page. The jockey might not know exactly what's going on, but as long as the trainer and the starter have an idea, when the jockey gets to the gate, they can let them do their jobs and stay out of their way.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of jockeys that will tell us that they get the wrong starter, they know their race is over already.
Absolutely, there's more races lost at starting gate than anywhere.
And what's the starter doing that's losing them the race compared to a good starter?
I don't never blame it on the starter. I blame it working the gate. It's kind of, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's the trainers that don't use the gate. You jog past it every day, it's free. A lot of the times the horses that have problems, they don't want to go stand them in the gate. You can't point fingers at the starter. They got 9, 10 other horses in the gate they're watching. I'm not going to ever blame a gate crew. If you got a problem, plenty of schooling, and the starter should know what to expect when they come back there.
So when you say know what to expect, are you talking about how the horse acts inside the gate, how they load?
They've done a lot of schooling with these horses in the morning, and they'll take notes of that, putting a chain over their nose or loading them first or something along them lines that keep that horse comfortable so that there's not problems at the gate.
You said about breaking babies. I've heard, just talking to different trainers or people that used to be trainers, just different ideas of breaking them or getting them used to noise or anything. Do you have any off the wall thing that you do?
No, just break them, start at the ground. Every horse is, plenty of groundwork and have good guys on their back that know what they're doing. Just like any trainer, you're always good as your help.
Absolutely. I always ask every guest this: the state of the game. Would you have anything on the top of your head that you would change instantly with where we're at now?
I don't think they're getting a lot of young people into the game. They need to do something to pull some young people into this game.
Erica says your brother's in the game as well. So do you guys have like any friendly competition there? Any kind of brotherly rivalry?
He worked for me for 8 years. Very, very good at what he does. One of the best guys on the back of the horse I know. I mean, he's very successful and does a great job.
So of all the horses you've worked with, which one's been the most fun?
Probably the filly I had that made $500,000 at Marina's Legacy. She was a 2-time horse of the year, Indiana filly of the year, not the horse of the year, in the Indiana bred. She ran out, I think, $4,000 or $5,000 shy of $500,000.
So was it the $500,000 that made it fun, or just her personality?
No, she didn't have much of personality. You just know when she showed up to the races, she was going to run.
So of all the horses that you've worked with, which one has been like, because we saw Rich Strike on the weekend at the Kentucky Derby get a little bit testy at the end of the race. So they can be a little bit quirky from what we've had. What horses had the craziest personality that you've been around? And how did you deal with that?
Probably Shy Money. First time I run her, she flips in the paddock, hurts herself. I mean, she's the same way. You just stay out of their way. I mean, their horses, 1,200-pound animals. It's just didn't matter what Blasey was going to do. He was after him. It's just a bad deal.
When you see something like what happened with Rich Strike, you're obviously in the game. You know more about that. What was your initial thought compared to everybody else's?
The jockey should have picked up his reins. It's just a bad deal. I mean, Blassie, I've known him on a personal level. He's the best in the job, best in the country. I've been in that same situation, but in the starting gate, not with a Derby winner, but one ball on you, and you got to do what you got to do to get a horse off of you. Do I think he beat on the horse? No. He handled it professionally and went about his job.
And then I always get the question, too, why when one of the other pony riders came over, didn't he leave them take him to see if...
You can't cut a horse that's acting like that loose. You cut him loose and he throws Leon and he gets loose on the back, then it's going to be a whole other story. Why did he cut him loose? It's always easier to look at hindsight.
Yeah, well, 2020 is always the easiest vision to have of all. Absolutely, 100%. For sure. So taking a look at the Preakness, I'm sure you're interested in that. What do you think? Do you feel like Epicenter worked a little too hard to follow that Derby up, or do you have your eye on him or somebody else? What do you think?
Honestly, I haven't even looked at the field.
No.
I've been crazy busy, and I haven't had time.
So you don't get any time to really watch racing?
Sometime late at night. I prefer not to.
All right. Well, I guess.
I mean, like I said, we got a big farm, and the spare time I spend with my kids.
Uh-huh. So are your kids interested in horse racing, or what are they thinking about doing?
Yeah, both of them barrel race. My oldest one actually won the 3D World Champion last year in barrel racing, and my 6-year-old's just picking up the hobby. So
that's got to make you proud as a dad, no?
Yeah.
So my son played soccer. I don't know about you, but when my kid would play, I felt far more anxious about watching him play than when I played myself.
Absolutely, it scares me to death.
Do you find yourself leaning and twisting with every single thing he does?
I've seen all the accidents with the horses and stuff, and it just constantly running through my mind when they're running through the barrels.
Mm-hmm.
What is your daily schedule?
We start training. The first horse goes to track at 5 in the morning. We're normally done and gone by 11:15 or 11:30. Then we start farm work. Then I'll do my entries around 10, talk to owners after 12 o'clock. Back to the barn at feed time at 4, and try to spend a little afternoon with the kids every day I can.
So do you have a specific what's like the specific or like a daily routine for a horse? It's like, say a 2-year-old you're trying to break. What's like the routine that they go through?
We first start putting tack on them, putting them on the Eurosizer, walking them. We'll do that for 3 or 4 days. A lot of groundwork, a lot of lunging. Get a handle on them, ground drive them. Put drive lines on them. We drive them around the racetrack, drive them all over the farm, get a good mouth on them. We slowly get on them. We don't jump on them the first 3 or 4 days. We're not cowboys. Mm-hmm. Like I tell everybody else, I don't want no workman's comp claim. Let's just do it the right way and take our time. And patience pays off. You catch up with the people that rush them really fast.
I can imagine a young one, you see like stuff on TV where they buck around like crazy. I would think that would be very similar to a rodeo, right?
Yes, on a daily basis. Like I said, I got great help.
So, Aaron, how do you get your start, says Robert Bryan? Do you go to a gate and ask if anybody need a hot walker or a groom? How do you do it?
Absolutely. Go to any stable gate and ask, and normally they'll have a list of people. They'll know people looking for help, and they'll aim you in that direction. And every racetrack in America is short on help, so there's no reason anybody can't get started.
Do they need people who can make picks?
Yeah.
You keep referencing great help. How do you find great help?
It takes a while. It takes a long time. Just treat them good, too, when you get them. You got to talk to them like human beings. Can't yell and scream at them. You got differences, you sit down and talk to them about it.
And these dance moves Stacey Loveberry's talking about.
Stacey Loveberry.
What kind of dance moves are we talking about?
Yeah, Stacey Loveberry got me out one night. And, there were some alcoholic beverages involved, and she likes to use blackmail on me. So she's right there next to me, and that is the wife of Jareth Loveberry.
Yeah. We tried to get.
Do we get to see any of the dance moves, or do we have to bring the alcohol?
Lord, with Stacey and my wife involved, it's untelling. But from my knowledge, no.
No.
Apparently, Ashley's got the video, but she did not want to get divorced, so she would not release it to us.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to get the video for sure, Shawn. What do we got to do? We're not going to be for divorce. I mean, it'd be all in good spirits because we have to get Shawn to do a dance because we got to our 1,000 subscribers on Twitter, and that was part of the deal. That once we got there, he would do a dance. So we were thinking of Shawn in a Speedo with juggling flaming chainsaws, or redoing the Jim Belushi. If you ever seen it on Saturday Night Live with the when he was the samurai deli where they were throwing like watermelons and sandwiches and stuff at him. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not. Which would you pick?
I don't know. Like I said, if there isn't alcoholic beverages involved, there's no dancing for me. But when there is, I think I'm the best in the world.
Yeah, well, that's how it always is, right? For sure.
See, and we didn't get to discuss that. Rich just put it out that I was going to do this dance. So it was kind of fun to get to put that out on social media and just kind of tease you all day about dancing.
Yeah,
I've been teased for the last 2 months about it.
But see, he still hasn't danced and he doesn't drink, so I'm not quite sure how to get him there.
I have drank. I just
maybe I should get him out with Jared Loveberry's wife and your wife, and maybe they'll get him to start dancing.
Oh, they'll get him there. But if you can't have a good time with them two, you won't never have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Like the 4, I think the 3 has more monster races. I'm not quite sure. That's for
talking to Preakness. Yeah,
talking to Preakness for sure. All right. Well, any other questions, Shawn?
Do you have any horses coming up at the end of this week, even tomorrow, whenever? Do you have any that bettors should really pay attention to and unload?
Not right now. Just, we're having a tough time getting races going in Indiana. I got some horses in some bad spots, just having a hard time filling races over there right now.
Yeah, I feel like that's everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's in some states more than others. I'm right next door in Illinois, and they're having problems here too. But I think so. Do you feel like some of that's because Arlington went away?
No, I don't know what it's from. I mean, the racing secretary is wonderful over here. He works with everybody, and it's just the grass racing's opening. A lot of the state bred races are the ones we're having a hard time filling. And the grass races, they always seem to fill, but never where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think that's really more of a smaller track, though, or in a California thing. For whatever reason, California always struggles to fill, even though it's great venues and decent-sized purses, they still have a lack of horses, which never really made any sense to me, for sure. And then, of course, you had a lot of those big purses down at Oaklawn that takes away a lot of the Midwest horses. But I feel like there is going to be a little bit of ramifications from a first-class operation like Arlington closing. Shawn, you got any final questions?
No, I think that's it. Happy to talk to you, Aaron, and continue to hit. I mean, for not being a household name, I would say 22% winning percentage, and you're hitting the board at 50% is impressive numbers.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, that goes to the owners and good help.
Absolutely, 100% for sure.
It always starts at the top, though.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time, Aaron. Thanks for joining us and continued success.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
All righty. You ready? And now we have another guest joining us, right?
Yes.
And it's not Big Head Shawn. First of all, before we move on to what does everybody think about Shawn's haircut? Let's get something going in the comment section there. All right.
You get two versions of Shawn, and this or the crazy hair. So you got to figure which one you want.
How you doing, Robert?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you. So, Robert, I don't want to really butcher your last name. I'm gonna try though. Hold on, Takaji.
It's close. It's Takachi. It's really Tagaji, and it's Armenian originally, but switched up. My grandparents came over. They changed their name up on him when he came in. So it's.
So what do you got going on behind you there?
That's actually a clip of one of our live races that we run at Digital Downs. So I thought it'd be a good way for people to see kind of what virtual horse racing is. But that's just one race, and I kind of got it on loop, But that's actually a race from the 4-year-old eliminator contest we did last season, which is 4 months ago.
All right, so we got a little bit ahead of ourselves there. So Digital Downs, tell us about Digital Downs and what does Digital Downs do? And that's a hell of an alliteration for the letter D.
Right. Well, Digital Downs is virtual horse racing in the virtual horse racing community. It's the closest thing you can get to I believe anyway, real horse racing without the vet bills and the training bills, and you can experience that same that thrill. I've raced virtual horses, and I've also I own thoroughbred. So there's a lot of similarities there in the game, and also in what you experience in real life as far as the just how you feel about it.
Mm-hmm. So how does one, if they want to get involved with the with Digital Downs, what do they need to do? Can they own a horse? Can they bet on horses? Well, how does that all function?
Okay, so it's really easy to register. You just register when you put your email. You visit the site, you register. You're going to get a confirmation, but we set you up with 4 free horses and some free game credits actually. So you actually can join. Train a few horses and enter some races all on us. We try to make it as easy as possible. We find that the biggest hurdle is the first 5 minutes that someone joins, because they don't. It's no one's ever experienced or seen it before, so they don't really know what to do. So we're trying to find new ways to make it easier to onboard new members. But usually once they get across the first few minutes, they seem to stick around. We have 12,000 registered users. Okay. But we only have maybe 30 to 50 stables that race every single day. It may not be the same 30 or 50. People pop in and out, but there's a lot of people. We get a lot of registrations that kind of get that roadblock in the beginning of what's virtual horse racing. So I'll be doing a lot more videos coming up on YouTube as far as, explaining in more detail how easy it is to join up. But basically, you just register. First of all, guys, is the sound okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay. So you mentioned betting as well. We're not, just to clear this up, we're not gambling in any way. It's hard for us to get on, the iOS platforms like that, or even advertise on Google, because they always want to go right to the gambling aspect. We're not gambling. We have nothing to do with gambling. Our owners, trainers, they nominate their horses. They pay a nomination fee for their races. It could be $1, $2, $10. Some of our bigger races, they may pay $50 for a nomination fee. And these owners, they race against each other for purse money. Okay. So basically they're creating the pot. If you race, you throw $10 in to enter, 8 other guys do the same thing. It's a $90 pot. We break it out the same way tracks do, whether it's 55%, 60%, we have, so it's like I said, it's fairly easy to play. We make it as easy as possible. We have a Discord server as well. That's the best place for you to learn about our game. Like if you could probably mess around for 3 hours on YouTube or looking at some of our other training videos, but 10 minutes in Discord, you're going to learn everything you need to learn from the community. We have a great community that doesn't mind helping you, and then also want to beat you next week. So it's just a lot of fun. And look, you talk about horses. There's many different ways to get horses on our game. You can breed your own. You can buy them from the sales ring. We have public sales pages. People sell horses for as cheap as $5. We have auctions that run every 2 weeks. We just finished up another one this weekend. So you'll see horses go for as little as $5 and as much as $300, $400, $500. It depends on what they're looking for. But to get started, you really don't need anything to get started, because we give it all to you. And as a new member, we also do a deposit match. So if you come into the game and let's say you want to deposit $100 into the game for game credits, we'll match that 100. So I don't know anybody else that does that. I'm also, I'm the owner of Digital Downs, and I'm also right there with the community. I'm always available. I answer the question. I try to answer all the questions as fast as I possibly can. But inbox, Discord, YouTube, we do live feeds, so you can feel confident that someone like me is also supporting you. I'm always available.
So if someone, what's like tell us what's like the biggest rags to riches story? Have you had somebody come in with one of the horses that you've given them for free, and then they go on to win? They spend the time training it, getting ready to go, and then have they go on to win? What's like your version of the Kentucky Derby?
Well, we actually have a virtual Derby. We have a virtual Triple Crown. We just finished that up. Our season is every 4 months. So that's the difference. Like, it's not like year round, our virtual Derby is every 4 months. We have that process. And, so we try to cover a lot of the main horse events, into our game and in our own way with some slight changes. But, for instance, we only have one Triple Crown winning stable or horse in 51 seasons. One. Okay. It is not easy to do. It's very competitive. But I'll give you an example of a horse. Tri-City Stables is a smaller stable as far as compared to some other stables that are there. Because we have small, we have large stables. There's guys that, try to play with, a little bit of money. And there's guys that will play for thousands, in a season for sure. So Tri-City Stables had a horse called Arctic Warrior. And I believe it was a $7 horse. And within 3 months, the horse has already won $2,000.
Nice.
Yes. So talking about Rags and Rich's story. I mean, there's many stories like that. We're looking for the first horse that brings in 6K. 6,000 in purse winnings. A lot of these horses. These guys are. We have a secondary market as well. It's not just about racing, right? They're looking for breeding. We have a whole breeding market that's out there. So some of these guys, they rush to get these sires into the shed. When the sire should still be running on the track. At 4 years old or whatever. But
that sounds familiar.
What's that?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So when there could be a nice 4-year-old campaign, they take them to the shed and then, they're either breeding their own or they're putting on the public breeding pages for other people to pay them for breeds. I mean, there's a whole secondary market after racing where people can, generate profits from the stock that they invested into, seasons before. So this Arctic Warrior horse is now, it didn't run as a 2-year-old. It ran as a 3-year-old only. It's now in its 4-year-old campaign. So we'll see if it sticks around, but it's one of the greatest seasons that I've ever seen a horse have. It was nosed out in the Derby, nosed out in our virtual Preakness, and it won the Belmont, but it also won our virtual breeders equivalent. So it won a lot of big races, and there's many stories like that. Actually, there's horses that are claimed every day that, look, we have stables or owners all over the world, UK, Sweden, Australia, Canada, Trinidad. I mean, our members are worldwide. Okay. And some of them have different levels of experience, and you'll find people that put horses into low, cheap claimers that don't belong there. And it's fair game. So if someone enters a horse for a $5 claimer or a $10 claimer and they lose it, that's just the way it goes. And you'll see those horses in our graded stakes races. So look, we have about $240,000 in purse money per season. That's every 4 months. Okay. It's real money. There's people that, expect to get paid and they do their withdrawals, and there's people that reinvest it into the game. You can build and play how you want at Digital Downs. And that's the beauty of it. And, besides feeding a horse and clean and muck in the stalls, it's very much similar to real life horse racing. You have to make sure you're training them, have your workout times, know your splits. Placement is key, right? I mean, where are you placing the horse? It's all this stuff matters. And now with our new state bred bonus program that we rolled out 3 months ago, it's even more important to know where to place the horses, because if you have a Kentucky bred, it's going to earn a lot more money, in running in tracks in Kentucky than running in tracks in Pennsylvania. So, it all adds up.
And it sounds like it for sure. So if somebody wants to join, how do William says, hello, my fellow Armenian. Maybe William should get himself.
Yes, William. Thank you.
So if somebody wants to join, they just go to Digital Downs, click on register, and what's the process from there?
Right. So I just want to make this clear. So it's digitaldowns.us, not .com. So it's digitaldowns.us. And you simply click register. You're going to go through a one-page, you fill out your information and submit it. That's it. You'll be redirected to your stable. We've tried, and once you get to your stable landing page, it's going to send you right into a tutorial. It's like a 6 or 7 step process to kind of get you quickly acclimated to some of the things: how to rename a horse, how to do your first workout, how to, simple things. I don't think it's as good as it could that it can be as far as that onboarding process. And that's what I'm looking to change. But really, if you just register, you submit, it takes you through that tutorial. Once you go through the tutorial, you'll have a sample race. Basically, we throw your new horse you just got, the one you just named, into a race. But it's not going to be a real race on its record. It's kind of like a fake race, but we throw them into a race. We let you watch that on 2D. The video you see behind me, that's a 3D video. But the sample race will be a 2D video, and you get to see your horse run and win. It's going to let you win. And then it sends you back to your stable basically to get started. And then you're really on your own. You need to watch your videos, do your research, train, or you can join places like Discord and get all of your,
Cheats.
fast tracked.
You get all your gaming cheats, huh?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you got people on there that are looking to find new friends. You're building a bond with a lot of people there, but there's also people there that have motives, right? There's people there that sell horses, that breed horses. So it's in their best interest to get you up and running, right? Because you may have stables of Digital Downs that don't race at all. That's not their thing. They're there for breeding. They've invested and put all this money into their breeding to put that back out to the public. So, it's in everybody's best interest in the game to add more members. Okay. So you'll find there's a lot of help there. And as like any other place that has an open chat, there's a competitive crowd. Yeah. Right. There's guys that are really cool. There's guys that are, laid back. There's guys that are kind of brash, but we are a friendly community, and I try to stay out of it, but if I'm there live, I'll be able to help you out as well, So it's, it's a simple to register. Like I said, 4 free horses we give you game credits, and then you're off and running, but my advice is to join Discord. That's the best advice I can give you.
Is this one of those things when you have a certain race at a certain time, you got to be in front of the computer and watch the race? And
that's a great question, Shawn. No, actually, you can always watch the live race feed. Okay. Now we have different track times. So we have our first track goes off at 1 o'clock. Then there's another track at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and so on. We try to have tracks at different times because we know there's people all over the globe that play this game. And we try not to just make this all about the United States and or the East Coast time, right? So we try to cater to everybody the best we possibly can. Now, if you don't, the races may have run. Let's say you were in one of our grade 1 races, and you're super excited about the race, but you have to work or something like that, and you're going to miss the race. Well, that's fine. You can always go back to once you get home, get to the site, you can actually not see the results and then click on the replay of the race automatically. And you can watch your race as if it was live. Now, some days we have live racing on YouTube where a bunch of guys get together and we'll all watch the races, together.
And what's the YouTube channel for folks that might want to go look at some of the past races?
It's just Digital Downs.
Digital Downs on YouTube?
Yeah. It's
Now, as far as the training is concerned, Shawn said, is it one of those things you got to be in front of the computer? Can you schedule that, or do you actually have to be there to do it?
I'm sorry, it's Digital Downs Horse Racing is the YouTube
channel.
No, there's assistant trainers, there's auto trainers, you can set up training and automatic training for your horses. Most people don't really continue to train. We have 2 different versions. We have a workout and we have training. And once people get used to the horse and understand how this horse runs, let's say a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, they won't work the horse that much after that. It's all about racing for them. So it's like they already know what the horse kind of is, what the potential might be. They need to get the horse on the track to see if that potential is realized. That's the biggest key. And it's very similar to real life, right? I mean, you can go to the auction and pick up a bunch of 2-year-olds, right? And you pay all this money for them. And then next, we see them in claiming races, right? They never really realized that potential that they had. It's very true to this game as well. So you may have a horse that has blazing works, great pedigree, but it hits the track and it can't compete. For whatever reason. So, these guys want to get it to the track, and, they race. Horses here in this game will race every 4 days, so it's not about, they're not going to waste any time on a workout. Now, we go through age change. So let's say, I'm not sure how much time we got, but we go through age changes. So when our season changes every 4 months, the horse ages from, let's say, 3 to 4. Then they're going to go back and they're going to work out and train their horses all over again because they want to see if their horse improves or not on an age change. Okay. Because it's part of our process of a horse aging. If the horse improves or declines or whatever it may be. And our race engine is the most unique that's out there. I know I've tested them. I've seen them all. It's very impressive. And it also, when you talk about the horses with the race engine, you don't know what the lifespan of the horse is going to be, the racing lifespan. You don't know if it's going to be 5 races, 2 races, 30 races, 100 races, right? Just like real life. You don't really know about the wear and tear on a horse. So in our game, we have wear and tear as well on our horses. Nobody knows exactly what it is. You're going to find out by racing your horse. And if the horse needs to be dropped down, then it'll be dropped down. If it needs to be retired, it needs to be retired. It's very, very similar to real life. You know, we tried to build this game to emulate real life horse racing.
So it's completely random then in terms of how the program works. It doesn't even know until the races are run.
Well, it's good that you brought that up. The difference between us and maybe some others out there is we don't use random factors at all. Okay, this is a skill-based game, and that's why they can never claim, you know, gambling and some other things. It's all skill. We don't decide anything in the game for you. You know, the jockeys have abilities and attributes. The horses have abilities and attributes. You have fitness levels and all the kind of things. You have natural ability for the horse. Are these sprinters? Are they routers? Right? It's up to you as the trainer, you know, to understand all of those things when you're competing with other folks. Some people are just going to do it better. You know, so it's you know, so there's no, when it comes to the outcome of the race, you do the best you possibly can with your placement and your horse and the ability, and the rest of it's going to take care of itself. When it goes into the pipeline for the race engine, everybody's in there, and the outcome's going to come out based off of everybody's data and everybody, you know, all the attributes of all the different aspects of the game.
What is I know we talked about it a little when I first talked to you. What is the jockey process, and who are the jockeys?
What is the jockey process?
Yeah, like how do you get your jockey? And,
okay, yeah, right. Yeah. So we have a set of jockeys at each track, right? Some jockeys actually will travel to different tracks. If they're better jockeys, obviously they're going to move, very similar to real life, right? But they don't all move. So as far as jockey process goes, like, you know, we have different, the main race card, let's just say regular allowance races, claiming races and such. A jockey is determined by the horse that has the most wins. Okay. So like if you have 10 wins and I have 8 wins, we both select the same jockey, you know, you're going to get the jockey because you have the most wins. The jockey wants to go with the winner, with the perceived better horse, right? Just like kind of real life. So when you enter your horse into a race, you get to choose 3 different jockeys. Okay. Just in case your first choice didn't go in, you can get your second or third. Now, if you don't get all 3, which is rare, you know, the system will assign one for you, best available out of the bunch. Now, in graded stakes, it's a little bit different because we have a whole point system for our graded stakes racing, because at the end of the season, we run huge cup races for a lot of money. When you're in that system, it's all about the points. So the horse with the most points will get the preference as far as jockey goes. So
we can maybe settle this question once and for all, Shawn. What percentage of the outcome is horse based, and which percentage is jockey based?
Right. Well, for us, it's horse based. You know, I would say I would lean more on the horses. That, you know, if the horse has no ability, then I don't care how good the jockey is. All right. So but if you have a really good racehorse, you know, you can get an apprentice jockey to win.
And do they get weight breaks and all that sort of stuff too? If
there's weight breaks. You know, it depends on the allowance setup, or, you know, we actually just started something new. Hasn't really quite caught on yet, but it's getting better every day. But we started more of like a rated racing system. So let's say lower class horses, let's say their ratings are below 99, and they're in rated races or allowance races. And then, you know, if you win one of these races, you're penalized for 2 pounds going into the next race, right? So you have to carry more weight. You know, or if you lose and haven't won, then you get a pound deducted every single time you run in one of these races. That's just one type of race, you know, that we have. I believe they do something similar to that in Australia.
I think it's some European track.
Yeah. So I mean, we have all different types. You know, we very similar to a regular, you know, modern race card. We try to put in. And the other thing too is, you know, our community is fantastic. I mean, you know, these guys they'll definitely give their opinion on what needs to be changed and updated, and we do our best to basically build the game how the community would like it to be built. You know, so if they want a new race setup or whatever, we'll work with the programmers to put that in place if we think it's, you know, it's beneficial to everybody.
So if horse racing today, if Shawn and I went in today or tomorrow, and we wanted to get a horse, so Shawn wanted Swiss Army Shawn horse, and I wanted HRT horse. How long is the turnaround before we can have a horse on the track actually ready to run?
Okay, well, depending on the time of day, let's say you bought your horses, or you acquired actually, you don't need to buy them because you get them for free as soon as you register, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you get your free horses at 8 o'clock in the morning with your coffee, you can be running by 1 o'clock that afternoon.
So it goes that quick, huh?
Yeah, because we have, like I said, we're a 4-month season, right? So no one
Each
wants
day
to.
counts about as like 3.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the first race is kind of, we allow people to get running as fast as possible. There's nothing worse. Look, I've been on the other side. I've owned virtual horses. There's nothing worse than having something that you like, or you acquire a virtual horse and you want to run it, and you have to sit around and wait 3 weeks. What's the point?
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
So there are things like that aren't.
So how does this differ? Because I see like the Zed Run and some of these other.
Yeah.
What would you say? They're it's not Bitcoin, blockchain based
Yeah.
horse racing.
Yeah.
How is this different?
Well, we get a lot of well, it's vastly different. Number one is Zed Run is not. I don't like to speak negatively about other folks, but the Zed Run is not a horse racing enthusiast site. They're not for people that love horse racing. It's an NFT site.
Mm-hmm.
You can go there and canvas anybody you want to, on their site. They don't know anything about horse racing. They don't even care. All they care about is the NFTs from the blockchain, right? But hey, listen, they did a fantastic job with that, and I hope maybe they have much success, but there's nowhere near the game that we have. Number two, they're random based. All their outcomes are random based, and it's the platform that they built. They basically, their games built around is something they had for many years that failed. Okay, what's catapulted Zed Run into where it is now is the blockchain, is the NFT, and the question is, does that have staying power once that kind of novelty thing wears off? That's going to be the issue, because you have folks that are paying $400, $500, $15,000 for a horse because of the NFT. And like I said, I think it's fantastic and genius what they did. I just don't know if that is going to work in the long run. Look, we're in a niche market, even in real life, but imagine the virtual horse racing. It's niche. Okay. So what they did to capture their base is brilliant. And folks ask me, they ask me all the time, do I want to get into FTs? Do I want to get into crypto? I'll take it a step at a time. I rather have a community of people that love horses, that love horse racing. A lot of our members are either owners, past trainers, hot walkers. I mean, there are people that always wanted to get into horse racing but could never afford it. Right. That's our community. And when I went to go try out Zed Run, there was no bond at all, other than, my buying or selling NFTs. So that's, they're doing a good job in other aspects, but I'm not really here to promote them. You know what I mean?
But, I was wondering what the difference was between the two.
Well, the difference mainly is the race engine for number one. That's the biggest issue. Number two is the random factor. 3 would be that there's nothing realistic about their game whatsoever. Here you have to worry about pace, speed. Where is that in there? It's not there. It doesn't exist. The workout times, the splits, and all of a sudden they built their platform off of NFTs and a European style game that no longer exists. That grabs that attention right there, and they do a fantastic job with that. They teamed up with, I believe, Atari and some other things, so they do some great things. But when it comes to realistic horse racing or virtual horse racing, there is no comparison whatsoever. But look, they get a ton of signups every single day, and that crypto is huge. So I know that probably in the next 6 months we actually will start taking crypto as a payment option. We are working on that. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be going the NFT route, as far as what they do.
So let's say you're a average horse racing fan. Like we try to do our part when we bring trainers and jockeys on to kind of talk about the inner workings of horse racing. Say you come into the sport, you're new to the sport, you don't really understand what hot walking is, you don't understand like how the whole process goes from horse, in the barn to horse in the race. If someone were to sit down and go through this, how much more do you think they would understand real horse racing by doing virtual horse racing?
The biggest thing really is, entry and placement. That's what I would say. I mean, I don't think the game's going to teach you anything about a diet, a horse's diet, or the all the little details that go into and the care of owning a real racehorse. But the biggest thing is going to be the race program and the placement and how important that is, because I have horses, right? So it's so important to properly place horses where they can be successful, or you're going to go broke, or you'll be out of the business, quickly. I think that in our game, it's very, very similar to that, as far as, listen, if you just go guns blazing, not paying attention to anything and just entering horses everywhere, you're going to get crushed, because there are serious people that play here. Okay.
So from a handicapper's perspective, right? Because most of the people that we deal with are looking at it from a gambling standpoint, right?
Yeah.
I know that it's not gambling, and I understand why it's not gambling because of the laws and all that kind of stuff. So, but do you think it would make them better at like looking at the past performances and saying, okay, now I get why this trainer is putting this horse in this race?
It's possible. That is possible. I mean, because I would say yes. You know why? We have a handicapping contest every week that runs on our site for free. Okay. We actually ran it for 6 months, I believe, for new members only, or it was an idea to bring new members in. You could come onto our site, register, and handicap. And actually, you could place bets on all of our races, but it's not real money. It's game credits that we would give you. And we were giving out $100 prize every week for whoever won the most money in the week handicapping our races. They won $100, right? And I think that going through that process, you do have to look at the past performances and what races they were placed in. What was the class rating of the races? Who had the jockey? So yeah, absolutely. It could definitely help you as far as, reading a program and placing real life bets.
So one of the things we talk about a lot of times is people reading the condition book. And I don't know how many handicappers actually can read the condition book and see how or why a trainer might put a horse in that race. So I was thinking maybe if you did it virtually, you might get a better understanding of what you're seeing in the program from that perspective.
You definitely would, but I find it, you definitely would, but I find that it's the other way around right now for us, is that the folks that tend to come into our game, they have some type of background, whether they're already handicapping, whether they're a trainer, like I said, or they own horses. Like they have a general idea about horse racing. And that's, again, the biggest difference between us or a place like Zed, which is, our community, it's that they have a huge background in real horse racing, or just even show ponies, anything. These guys have some type of background, in horses, and and they have a general love for it. So they come to our game and they pretty much already know how to read the program. But you definitely could. If you never seen a real program ever in your life and you played our game, you could play our game and then go to the track and read a program and know exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah, perfect. So that would be a good way for people to practice and not have to use real money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we still run our contests every week. We have the handicap contest. We give away a blue ticket every Sunday. A blue ticket is basically, we have a sales ring that's rotated, and that's just one way to get a horse. But we have a sales ring that's rotated every couple weeks, and it's based off of historical great horses, legendary horse bloodlines. Okay. And a blue ticket allows you to pick and choose which sire and mare you want. You cannot do that anywhere else in the game. Okay. There's nowhere where, unless you own a sire and mare and put them together, you can't go to the sales ring and choose specifically what horses you want to match together. A blue ticket allows you to do that. So it's a very valuable ticket. And we offer that for free weekly on that handicapping contest on the site.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Any other questions for you, Shawn?
Yeah. How long have you been doing this, Rob? And what are some things you're looking to add as well in the next year, I would say?
Well, let's see. I've been involved in virtual horse racing since about 2010, maybe. But that's me actually owning virtual horses and racing them. And then I had a passion for auctions, and I had some ESPN articles written about me and some of the auction sales and stuff like that. And I just loved virtual horse racing and did it for years. And then eventually an opportunity arose that I could acquire this business in 2020. So I've only been for a couple of years now. I spent the first year basically doing a lot of back end cleanup and just going through a lot of things I felt that were neglected. Carried on into 2021, but things are running really good. We have programmers that work all week long. We have a great security team. Currently, right now, we're in the process of recoding a lot of things for getting ready to for our next phase of the game. So we're kind of cleaning everything up with a lot of code. A new item would be we're switching to Unity, a Unity 3D viewer. So that way you don't need any software at all to, like this feed behind me. It's a quick download. You download it and then you can watch it, right? Mm-hmm. The new Unity will allow us, you can just click on a link in your browser and the race will run. You don't need any type of software whatsoever. So that's probably one of the more important things for 2022, as well as the cryptocurrency, which you talked about, to allow that as far as a payment option. And we're looking at some new tracks. We don't want to overdo it, but we get a lot of good ideas from the members. But the tracks might, I would like to add some new tracks and some new race types. Like for instance, we have a lot of folks from the UK on the game.
Right? They want the jumpers, baby.
Yes. Listen, it's in our pipeline, right? Now we don't know how that transfers to like revenue, right? Like I don't know. I mean, I can do a guesstimate as far as how I think that's going to help us financially from a business standpoint. But I know that there are members out there that currently are part of the game that would love that. And I think though, if I was the only game out there that had as an option, it may be a nice draw, Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's exactly the type of thing that we're looking at, because people ask me all the time, like, well, our race engine is fantastic. Like I can actually turn this into, greyhounds if I wanted to, right? So there's a lot of different things we can do. We have to look at the future and say, well, what do I want to be? Do I want to be something like Zed? No. Okay. I would love to be tied into the Jockey Club, the Thoroughbred Horse Racing Association. I would like to be, I'm in the industry. I would love to actually be a part of it, more cannected to it, and in that kind of way. So
maybe have you ever had thought about maybe having like a real track announcer announce one of the races live?
Yeah, I thought about it. See, the thing is, when I do the recordings of the races, right? People always say, "How come you don't, we need? How come you're not, talking over it? How come you're not calling a race?" I'm horrible at it. I can't do it. I did practice runs. It was so bad. And now years ago, I know there was somebody in Australia that did a race or two for us, but I would love to. I mean, I just can't do it. I even looked for like a voiceover that could create that for me, like where I could actually call the race, but then do a voiceover so that the computerized version of it would actually sound like a race call. Those guys do a fantastic job, but I can't do it. I try it and I gave up. So
always we can arrange something with Craig Braddock, Sean. That would be
fun. Not only that, but there's a lot of people out there that are amateurs that are trying to learn it, that when they do it, they're actually pretty good at it. I would love it. They could listen. They could. We would upload way more videos if we had someone that was able to do it. So
that'd be a good way to practice if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, it's something we can definitely do. It's a good idea, and we have people that are we have jockeys on the game. There's people that are involved in horse racing that are part of this game. I think even the announcers and everything thought of that angle, but. The last one that did it, we did I think it was one race years ago. He was a retired, caller from, like I said, out in Australia. But yeah, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. It'd be a great way to promote the game,
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we can see if Craig Braddock will come in and do like your Triple Crown race or something along those lines.
I always wanted to run the races before. Like I always wanted to have the ability to say the folks at the Derby, right? I know they have their own connections now, but I would love to be able to put some races together for them as far as like a pre-look,
mm-hmm.
Because I can do that too. It'd be a fun way to, you release it 3-4 days earlier. You could release one now for the Preakness, right?
So like they do with Madden they do with Madden for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do it very easily, So it's just look, there's a lot of things that we're working on, and there's only so many hours in a day, right? Mm-hmm. But they're in the pipeline as far as things that we want to do. We're a growing community. Since I've taken over, it's been fantastic. And I'm looking forward to the future.
That might be a good way to, and a good advertising tool. You want to know who's going to win the Preakness?
Yeah.
Watch this race.
You see the billboards behind me. We put those together. I'm looking for somebody to take a shot at some of those as far as ads. The races run all the time. They run on YouTube. Just trying to find new ways. Look, it's hard to get our name out there. I really appreciate you guys having me on and to discuss Digital Downs, because it's just not easy. You know, it's just not easy. So yeah, very, very thankful.
I would say based upon what I'm seeing up in the window there, people are attentive and paying attention to what we're talking about. So I think it's been well received so far based upon what I can see up on my end of the back end.
Okay.
All right. So what we'll do next is we'll put some information on how if you want to, you're interested in getting a horse. I know that we'll open up a horse racing today, Barn. Shawn, he needs more things to do while he's working.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll open up a barn and we'll have a Rich horse and a Shawn horse. And then if we wanted to have a race, like, so we had a horse, I had a horse, Shawn had a horse, Terry had a horse, Tom had a horse, or could we have like a horse racing today? So like we got 14, 15 people from our community and we wanted to have a race against each other. Could we do that?
Absolutely. 100%.
All right, cool.
Because we upload our race schedule every 4 months, but we do manual uploads and changes, all the time. We get race requests and things like that. So yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's fun. Actually, we do match races.
We do match races. Can we have a match race based upon Shawn's attributes and my real attributes to see which one would win?
Yeah, Rich got thrown from a horse the only time he was on a horse. So
I would run from the horse, not to it. That's
these guys. There's some guys that are really into this. They'll match race you for pink slips. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do on the game, and because the owner's so involved, there's nothing that really we can do it in minutes. If everybody's all to say on Discord chat and someone's saying, hey, let's do this, whatever, and I'm there, I'll do it. We'll run it live right now.
Yeah, it sounds fun. So it's very interactive and it's also seemingly very spontaneous. They have some of those pink slip races down on Lower Wacker here in Chicago, but they're for cars. I don't know if you've seen those videos recently where they're like this is totally off subject, but since you brought up pink slips, Lower Wacker, you might be familiar with that in the Batman movies when the car is driving underneath the ground and the lights are on top of it. That's Lower Wacker in Chicago. It's kind of like a street under the streets. And they had, like 50 kids in a circle and they poured gas around it and then lit it on fire and cars were doing donuts around them. These are the kinds of things that go on in my city. It is becoming Gotham.
Well, thankfully it's not happening around here.
Yes. Well, we appreciate your time, Robert. We'll communicate with Shawn, myself, and you. We'll put us all together. We'll make sure we get the information out, have it available on horseracingtoday.net. If you're interested in heading on over to digitaldowns.us to open up your barn. Again, as Robert mentioned, you go in, you register, you get 4 horses for free to get started. And just for a couple bucks, you can enter a horse into a race. And as he mentioned, whatever you deposit, you match up to 100% the first time around, right?
Correct. And just another reminder, just get through the tutorial process. It's like a 7-step item. And then, the best thing you can possibly do is join Discord. Even if you just join it once to learn everything and then leave. I can't stress it enough.
So he says you can have your caffeine in the morning and you can have your horse race in the afternoon. That's how
I guarantee you, when your horse is running in one of our grade 1 races and you're running for $500 and it's coming down the stretch, it's gonna be intense. I guarantee you. Even look, we have races and horses that win more money than horses on real tracks. It's you can get excited. It's pretty interesting.
I can imagine, because if you have money at stake, you're definitely going to be into it 100% for sure. And I always say to folks like Shawn and I, when we do handicapping shows, and obviously I can't bet on every horse that we talk about every single day because I'm not, I am not Elon Musk, right? I
tried it
by Twitter.
I tried that once.
But once I put my name on a horse and say, hey, I think this one's going to win, if I have money on it or not, you can bet your rear end I'm watching that horse and I'm pulling for that horse to win because my name is on it.
Right. So just imagine 2 things. One, let's just imagine you're in we have a blue blood maiden race. It's like a couple $100 for a maiden race, the first one. Okay. Imagine it wires the field. You're going to be on cloud 9, right? Or imagine you're one of our bigger races and it's in the middle of a pack and it hits the turn, the turn gets into the beginning of the stretch and it basically just steamrolls home and just crushes the field, wins by 3. You have no idea what's on your hands. You're so excited. You can't wait to enter it into the next race. So it's just a lot of fun. I wish more people had a chance to experience it. I just think that it's so unique, and that initial period of trying to understand how to work and train a horse is the roadblock for us. We have registrations. People clearly are interested. It's that initial experience with the horse as far as what do I do. That's the toughest part.
And then maybe you can provide us. You said there's some YouTube videos and so forth
Mhm.
in the Discord. We'll try to gather as much of that information as we can together. We'll put together a page, a resource page on with your help, Robert, on
Okay.
horseracingtoday.net for those of those who are interested in the digital horse racing. Just kind of outline the steps on the things that we talked about today. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. We'll put that on Horse Racing Today. So if people have questions, and then of course they can register, and like you said, you're around, they can communicate with you anytime as well, right?
Correct. Absolutely. I'm always available.
Any other questions, Shawn?
You said you're a horse owner too, so just talk about that and what your horse racing background actually is.
Right. So I just recently got into this about a year ago, and like since I was a kid, I've always wanted to own my own racehorse. Right. I used to ride my bike up to Old Keystone Park and stand at the finish line when I wasn't supposed to be there, probably by myself at my age, and just watch horses cross the line. The first photo I ever got was spend a buck. I mean, I really was into it, when I was a kid, but we didn't have any money. There was no way that I was ever going to have a racehorse. But I ended up marrying it somewhat into it. My wife is huge into horses. I didn't even know people had horses, where I was at, but they had a farm and a barn, and so really that was my first experience with horses, and that's now my daughter, she's big into horses. But anyway, I met a trainer, like my wife's friend's fiance, whatever. He's a trainer at Parks. And he was over our home for a picnic that I was having for folks. And it was I had a huge picnic during the quarantine, or in the early days of the pandemic. I had everybody drive their cars into my property. It was like a social distancing, barbecue. It was pretty cool. But I met a trainer there, and that was my opportunity, and I jumped into it. I claimed my first horse, and then I went a little bit further with it with some folks. We started a syndicate. We brought some new members on. We had a lot of success early on. And then it just collapsed the second part of the year. That was my first experience. The highs of winning, and then the second part of the year with the Bills, it was crazy. But so I had that opportunity to get into it. I'm still involved in a way with a few trainers, and specifically a new one, Peter Sinifius, up at Penn National. He's a young guy. Really good trainer. If you guys are looking for new trainers up at not to to do a plug, whatever, but Peter's been fantastic, and I'm telling you, I've never been so happy in my life with a trainer. And I've only been working with him since September, but he's got a lot. He's got a bright future. I think he's a third generation trainer. I believe he's in his early 20s, but his father trains and his grandfather trained, and his mother's trained. I mean, the kid knows what he's doing, and he's up and coming, and he's definitely looking for some new owners. But he's been fantastic to work with, and it's kind of like cleansed the bad taste in my mouth that I had at the end of 2021. We went from one horse to 14 horses, too quick, and I got 2-year-olds, which was the mistake that I made. Basically, I ended up having 5 2-year-olds, not truly understanding how much time it puts into them, the money that puts into them. And that was, so I would say, to anybody that's getting into this new, hey, have fun with the claiming game, for a couple of years, learn everything, get your connections, what I mean? Swap some horses around. It's a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
When you take the next step into going to the auctions and buying horses, like I did, it takes the momentum away, Then eventually you're flush with cash 1 minute, the next minute, you're dumping a lot of money out there. So, be careful. But it's been a great experience. I'm looking forward to acquiring more horses and growing it.
In the meantime, you can do it yourself on digitaldowns.us,
yes,
and get a digital horse.
Yes.
Any other questions, Shawn, before we roll?
No, I think that's it. I hope people check it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, so if you could coordinate with them, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later on. I'll have Shawn reach out to you to get the information we need to create the page.
Okay.
On horseracingtoday.net. We'll take care of that so we can help the folks who are interested in having a digital horse. Robert, we appreciate your time. We took up a lot of it, and we wish you luck. And soon, Shawn and I are going to have a horse, and we're going to have a match race, and we'll stream it live when we do one of our shows.
Bring them, do the match race. Bring them all in. We'll do a 12 horse race for Horse Racing Today.
All right, we'll try to work that one out. We'll have and then we'll do that for sure. We'll make it a contest or something. All right, Robert, thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye. You too.
Well, that certainly was very interesting, no?
Yeah, that was awesome. You're always looking to how you can get more involved or have more of a say type deal, and that definitely sounds like it. You know, you have more control and can do more things that you can't do when you're just betting and putting money on a
I think
horse
it
that you
would
have
be
no
fun.
control.
I know you have a horse. It gives you some other way. To me, I think it would be interesting, like a way to really learn how to understand the condition book, right? And I mean, I know it might not translate really from digital, you know, point for point with the real horse race, but it's still going to give you some insight and perspective on, as a trainer, what you might be looking for to place a horse from one race to the next. And then if you could take that information and then synthesize it with what's happening in the real horse racing world, it might give you a little bit better understanding. And the reason this popped into my mind is a guest that we had from TVG. See if you can guess which one I'm talking about, Shawn. Because he mentioned specifically that one of the things he did that people thought was odd is he tried to figure out why trainers had specific horses in specific races.
Rich Perloff?
No.
Matt Carruthers?
No.
No.
Richard Hazelton said.
Scott Hazelton.
Now, I wanted to give him a better name. Richard. Scott Hazelton. Because Richard Hazelton was his dad, I think, right? Because he was a trainer here in Chicago. But Scott Hazelton mentioned that one of the things that he did, and a lot of people thought it was kind of quirky at first, if I remember. And again, now I called him, my memory, as we see by names, is not always perfect. But he did say that one of the things he talks about was that he's trying to understand why a trainer has a horse in a specific race. Like, what's the trainer thinking putting this horse in this spot? Because the trainer has to have a reason for putting the horse there, right? It's not some random event. I don't think, anyway. I would hope not.
Yeah, and Matt Carruthers has mentioned that before too. I've heard a couple other ones mention that, or they try, and I totally agree with that. The only thing you can do with that is I think sometimes you can overthink that too. You might put more thought into that than what the trainer actually put into that would be the only thing, and you're overthinking it would be the only problem.
Well, I'm not thinking about overthinking it or underthinking it. I'm just trying to think, okay, if I'm looking at a horse's past performances and you go, man, this one really looks like crap, or this one looks great. What's he doing here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then so now you might think to yourself, okay, I'm looking at this horse that's been 20 lengths out of the money, because every day there's a couple of those horses that do that to you, right? Mm-hmm. And you're looking at them and you say, you dismiss them, right? Because that horse don't have a chance, because you're looking at it from the perspective of the numbers that you see on the paper, instead of flipping it around and saying, okay, if I'm that trainer and I've seen how this horse is run, why am I putting him in this spot? And maybe you might, by kind of changing the angle of attack, you might go, now I see. And maybe, instead of just dismissing that horse, you might come back and reconsider it under a different kind of viewpoint.
Yeah. And also we had Marcus Judy on, it's a jockey agent. What did he say? Everything was about the condition book too. So,
right.
Yeah, it's definitely.
So to me, important. I would think that one of the things that digital horse racing would allow you to do is practice reading the condition book, looking at your horse, and seeing how does it fit in this virtual race. And if you start to position your horses in the right sort of races where they actually can win, right, then you might be able to look at the horses in their workouts, in the program, look at their running performance, look at their cycles, and then maybe identify another horse or two every now and then. And usually I'm thinking about prices here, not the favorites. You don't really need that, right? Yeah. But maybe you'll identify a favorite from your practice there at the digital, where you're looking at it not from a gambler standpoint, but from a trainer standpoint, and say to yourself, I can see why he's putting this horse in this race, and I'm going to take a shot with him. And maybe you cash another ticket or two with a shot.
You'd also realize how hard it is. You want to put your horse in a place that he can win, but you also don't want to lose your horse.
Especially if you spend all that time getting the damn thing ready.
Yeah, you'll
be crying for sure.
Find out how hard it actually is to place your horse in the right spot and, not lose it and do exactly what you want to do with it. So, yeah, I think it's great, and will definitely teach you a lot more about the sport itself as well.
So maybe one of the things that we can do is we can put together, we talked about, maybe we'll try to get maybe 10 to 15 people in the horse racing today community. see if we can get them all to join, train our horses, and have a horse racing today like contest where the winner gets something. So I don't think we can give away money, but we can try to come up with something. Like lunch with Shawn if you're in the parks area.
Oh, now people are just gonna lose on purpose.
Yeah, they won't join now.
Yeah.
All right, Shawn. Well, that takes us wire to wire on this Tuesday. It was an enjoyable show. We try to bring a different perspective and different things to everybody's attention. Hope that you enjoyed it. I know I did. We'll get to work. I'll have Shawn amongst the many other tasks the Swiss Army knife does to get that organized, and then I'll get it put up on horseracingtoday.net amongst all the other things I'm trying to get up on horseracingtoday.net. And I can tell you, sometimes running a website's a real pain in the rear end. You got problems. I have some sort of crazy stuff about PHP. I have no idea what the hell PHP is, but I'm trying to figure that out. But over at horseracingtoday.net, we have a couple new things up on the site today. One is a new, I'm going to call it educational type thing that we're doing called Ask Charles. Shawn, why don't you kind of fill us in a little bit about Ask Charles?
So Charles Trent's had over 37 years of experience. He's been owner. I can't even name all the things. I know there's a whole list of things there. We had it of what he's done. He'll answer any of your questions. You can either email him, you can inbox us, whatever you want to do. You can put these questions out online, and you'll get, I swear to you, a lot of these questions, you'll get 15 responses and 15 different answers. So here you can email one person, you'll get the answer. He either knows it or he'll research it thoroughly and make sure he provides you with the great answer. So it should be a fun piece, and any questions you have, you just let us know.
So Lloyd, you're in a chat that look at, when I say to them, look at the conditions, they tell me I'm clueless. LOL. So are they clueless? Like they're saying, Lloyd, that you're clueless about reading the conditions, or that the conditions are meaningless? Because that's one of the things I want to understand better is the conditions, so that I can think like a trainer and look at a horse and say, now I understand why this fits. And, and that does go back to Judy, the trainer that we had on the show, because he had mentioned that a lot of times he works with the owners and says, look, wait 2 weeks and then you can enter this horse into an easier spot. And I might not understand where that horse fits, that maybe he's in a tougher spot or she's in a tougher spot than she could be in if she just waited a couple of days. And these are the kinds of things I feel like if you understood better, it would make you a better handicapper. But here you can see there's Charles. And then we have a few questions up there today, so you can make sure you head on over there. If you have any questions, again, use this as an educational reference. He can answer questions about wagering, answer questions about owning a horse, training a horse, working with a horse, maybe even getting into the horse racing business. So many people come to Shawn on Facebook and Twitter and tell them they're interested in getting in the business. So if you're interested in the business, you can reach out. Of course, we're starting to make some connections, and you heard today, go to the track. If you're interested in getting a position at the track, and ask. You're not going to start at the top. I think that's something I've heard over and over and over again. You're going to start at the bottom, but I've also heard over and over again that if you start at the bottom and you're willing to work your way up, you could become John Ortiz, the next trainer of Barber Road, because we've heard this story I don't know how many times.
Yeah, absolutely. You can send that message to me, but I can only help you so much. We only have so many connections. You're just going to have to go to the barn and prove yourself. And that's how you do it. It's the same as when we want a guest on here. I start somewhere and I just keep feeling out the process till I get to where I want. And that's what you got to do. If you want to be a jockey, you got to go figure out what you want to do, work your way up. And at the end, you'll get your prize that you want when you put the work in. So
yes, one hopes anyway. So another, article that's up on the website today from Ronaldo Del Gallo. He talks a little bit about the history of horses that ran in the Kentucky Derby and then subsequently skipped the Preakness as a winner, and then how that Triple Crown evolved from the Preakness actually being before the Kentucky Derby, and then horses that went on the run and skipped the Preakness and then ran to the Belmont, and how maybe all of this could lead somewhere down the road to the downgrading of the Preakness if it hasn't already done so in terms of the quality of field. So that's a pretty good article. It's a little on the long side, so make sure you go check that out. That's over at horseracingtoday.net as well. And then finally, working on the Preakness wagering guide. Got a lot of the back work done. Now it's just to make it to beautify it in Microsoft Publisher and then subsequently Adobe. Once that's available, we'll get that information out to where you can get that. And any other final thoughts, Shawn?
No, and I believe that that you pay $15 for the day, a guaranteed tip sheet, and you get the wagering guide with it. Right?
No, you have to be a monthly subscriber for that. So I think it's like $45. Just want to make sure we're clear on that, so that nobody's under a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, Terry is on vacation. Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday. He'll be back next Tuesday. Jared's filling in. So that's why I'm talking so much right now, because I won't get to talk so much tomorrow with Jared.
There you go.
There you go. And we'll be doing Horseshoe Indianapolis tomorrow. That has, I think, 4 graded stakes races of $100,000 or more. And then on Thursday, Jared and I will do Belmont. Then, of course, Friday and Saturday is the Preakness. And on Thursday night, Shawn, were you able to confirm, or we haven't got confirmation on that?
Well, we'll confirm tomorrow
Okay.
about Todd Schrupp. That's when he's landing in Baltimore, and he can confirm. But he was, 98% positive that he could make it work. So
he was Ivory Soap, 99.44% sure.
And then tomorrow we'll have jockey Brienne Cup on. I did confirm with her today. Like I said, we have better connection, and we're sure on the Eastern and Central time. We have that all squared out. So we will finally get Brienne Cup on the show.
Perfect.
And then next week's a big week too. Monday we have Jerry Dixon Sr., who was the groom of Rich Strike, and possibly his son, Jerry Dixon Jr., who was the actual groom. Senior was the assistant. And then Tuesday, we have jockey Giovanni Franco. He's very opinionated, so that should be a very fun show. He'll go out and defend the jockeys and everything on Twitter. And Wednesday, we have, she was an MMA fighter. She's actually 3-0 in MMA. She hasn't fought since like 2018, and she's a jockey, Chelsea Bailey.
So maybe, I don't know if she watched a fight recently with Rose something or another, Imadulis, and another young lady. Rose was the champion, and that fight was on the undercard of Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira. And that was probably the single worst fight I've ever seen in my life, because they just went in circles. I think they threw like 4 punches the entire fight. It was horrible.
Yeah,
but,
her fight
maybe if she had entered that one, she could be the world champion right now.
Yeah.
One strike, you're the winner. All right, Shawn, that wraps up tonight. That's it, man. Well, I'll be back tomorrow with Terry. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button while you're here at YouTube at Horse Racing Radar TV. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth works really well too, so you can share that message with them on your Facebook, your Twitter, or your Instagram, however it is you communicate in the digital world. And then, of course, you can follow us on digitally or on YouTube. I mentioned that already. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Horse Race, the number 2 day. And that wraps it up for today, Shawn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was incorrect yesterday. Willie Martinez had 2 rides and won both of them. He had a few today, and he won at least 1 race today as well.
I know he won with the 3-horse because that closed out the prime rib pick 4. The hot dog pick 4 for me. He had a little bit difficult time getting that horse's head to straighten out. But once he got that Grace head to go towards the finish line, we ran by everybody. So great job on that, Willie. Thank you for giving me the hot dog pick 4. I appreciate it.
It's amazing.
Right,
He's
Shawn?
been off for like 6 months, and he comes back and he's, what he did, win 3 of his first 4 mounts.
He's got to pay for those trips to Italy, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks again. I'll be back again tomorrow with Jared, trying to get a word in edgewise. Hopefully we'll get some good picks in there as well over at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Till we meet again, as always, we hope you have a fantastic Tuesday night and that all of your picks end up in the
winner circle.
Absolutely. Have a great evening.